How involved were you in kind of the conversations on the Schroder trade, and what are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I've been talking with Mike, the last couple of weeks, particularly once Melt went down. We were talking about our options, and Mike does a great job of always keeping me informed about what's out there and his discussions. So it's been a topic. Yeah.
What do you think of adding him?
I'm thrilled. I mean, I told Dennis today he's kicked my ass on 3 different continents, and that's so I'm you can't beat him, join him. But 22 playoffs, I thought he was brilliant against us with the Lakers. Watching him in FIBA, the last 2 summers, the Philippines, and then, we played them in London in an exhibition game. He's a gamer, he's a competitor, pick-and-roll player, two-way player. So, losing Melt was a huge loss. And by the way, I want to say thanks to De'Anthony and Reece Beekman for everything, their contributions, their commitment, their effort. It's always hard to trade guys, and we wish them both well. And but you got to do what you got to do to get better. And this was a move that we felt like made perfect sense. And so he will fill what Melt was doing for us in terms of being able to play on or off the ball. Excellent defender, long wingspan. He's a steals guy, forced turnovers, pace, everything that we need, we feel like he can provide.
You plan to start him? I mean, Melton was the starter when he went down.
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. He'll be here tomorrow. He's going to get his physical, and he'll practice the next 2 days, and then we as a staff we've got to talk about everything. We've been, as you know, changing our starting lineup almost nightly, searching. But he would seem to be a perfect fit to start next to Steph, but we got to see how it all plays out.
Steve, when you look at your defensive success this year, I'm sure you would point quickly to Draymond. Beyond Draymond, are there individuals that have contributed to that, or something about your collective mindset and approach that's led to your defensive rating being as good as it has been this year?
As always, it's a lot of things. It's never one thing. It's a lot of things. Gary Payton being healthy has been huge for us. Andrew Wiggins being healthy. Both guys having really good seasons to this point. Ball pressure. It's to me, ball pressure changes everything. It allows you to set a tone in every possession. You gain an advantage in the possession if you can pressure the ball and take a team a little bit out of their rhythm, what they're trying to get to. We didn't have that last year. Both Gary was injured. Wiggs as well was gone quite a bit. So I think those 2 guys are the key difference to this point. I think Draymond, I may be biased. I think he's the best defensive player in the world. There are plenty of guys who are really good, but I don't think there are any players who do all of the things that Draymond does when it comes to guarding 1 through 5, switching, blowing up stuff off ball. Draymond is a brilliant defender, and so having all 3 of those guys healthy and out there almost every night, that's the biggest difference. Jerry Stackhouse has done a really good job coming in here. He and the defensive group, Jacob Rubin, Chris DeMarco, they've I think installed some things for us that have been very helpful. We're a little more aggressive, turning teams over a little bit more, and that's helped too.
Steve, you going to give us your lineup today?
No.
You're going to give us a health update on the guys who are questionable?
I guess. Raymond, did Raymond do that already or no? All right, so Steph and Wiggs are good to go. Moses is out. Yeah, but that's all I'm giving you.
Is there anything on Moses beyond this?
No, just yeah.
Hi, Steve. How obviously Dennis's acquisition would seem to affect Brandon's playing time potentially. I'm curious if you went out of your way to talk to him at all. And I mean, it's been no secret he hasn't played probably to the level he did last year, and you've talked about it. Where do you see him the last few games, and sort of his confidence and role going forward?
I think this will help Brandon. If you think about last year, he was playing next to Chris, Paul, and Steph, and/or Steph, most of his minutes. So this year, stepping into a primary ball handling role, that's a much tougher job, and I think this will actually help him settle into a more familiar role that he was in last year. But again, you never know how this stuff plays out, and there's opportunity for everybody to step in and fit. We've got to find combinations that fit, and that's the main thing. We're looking for two-way combinations, and so we'll let it play out.
Steve, there was a lot of emotion in the building a month ago when Clay was here. You guys knew that game was on the schedule. This one kind of just came up in the last week or so because of the NBA Cup. Does that make it a little easier to prepare to see Clay again? I mean, it's just such a quick thing. You didn't know you were going to play him. You obviously have him in February, but your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it will always be special to see Clay for the rest of his career when we play them, wherever that is. It'll always be special because of what he meant to us. But it's good to get that first one out of the way. The emotion of it, the welcome. I'm sure he's happy to have that behind him too. I think we all are. And tonight we're just going to play, but it'll be good to see him.
Steve, I'm curious about Schroder and your offense. You guys are different than anybody else in how you play and all the motion and whatever. And he has not been that type of point guard. So what type of an adjustment period is it for you and for him? Do you look at this as seamless, or is this something that's going to take some time?
I think it'll be seamless, actually, because we actually need a pick and roll player right now. I think the last 10 games, our pick and roll efficiency's dead last in the league. Teams are loading up on Steph. We can't ask him to run every pick and roll. And Dennis is a pick and roll player. I think if you look at the league, the way it has evolved the last few years, best offenses all have 2-point guards, whether it's Dallas or Cleveland or Indiana. I think Boston has 3 or 4 guys who can all run pick and roll. I just feel like in the modern NBA, you need multiple pick and roll players. Dennis is a guy who, yes, he likes running pick and roll. We like running off-ball stuff, but we like running both. A year ago, we had Chris Paul, and Chris was great, and we ran a ton of pick and roll with Chris, and our offense was pretty good. I think 7th at the end of the year in efficiency. But what we didn't have last year was the two-way basketball. We were not good defensively. So I think our thinking with this trade is we've established through almost a third of the season that we're a good defense. We're 4th in the league. That shouldn't change if we stay healthy. In fact, Dennis will add to that because he's an excellent defender. Where we need help, frankly, is offense. And off-ball, pick and roll, we need help. Our last 10 games were dead last in efficiency, not only in pick and roll efficiency, but just overall offensive efficiency. So I don't care what I try to run. I just want to run something that is efficient, and will adapt very easily to Dennis and vice versa.
Just to follow up on the question on pods, do you feel like 20, 24, 25 games is enough of a sample to make a decision on, maybe he's not ready to be a primary ball handler?
No, it's not. I don't think so at all. I think young players, it takes a few years to really figure out this league and where your advantages lie. What kind of player you are. What's your identity, and so that's all part of the process. So this has been a really good experience, I think, for Brandon to feel what it's like to be full-time point guard. And I think it will also be really healthy for him to get into a more comfortable role where he's playing as a secondary ball handler on the other side of the floor when Steph or Dennis has the ball, running through the catch on closeouts, making cuts, doing all the things that he does that jump out. So I think this has a chance to be really good for him.